Welcome, class. Are you guys ready to learn about stem cells?
Yeah!
Okay, first of all, what do you guys know about cells? Just in general, anything. Yes?
That there's a lot in your body.
There are a lot of cells in your body. There are hundreds of different types of cells that all do different things. A cell has a nucleus, which is like the powerhouse of a cell, and it's located in the middle. And a cell, at its basic definition, is the smallest structural and functional unit of an organism. What do you guys know about diabetes? Yes, Mary?
My grandpa has it.
Your grandpa has it? With diabetes, the blood sugar levels have to be constantly managed because your body doesn't have a hormone called insulin in the blood. We're going to learn why that is. Organ in your body called the pancreas, which is right there. It doesn't just impact your pancreas. It impacts, it's a hormone. Insulin encourages your body to drain glucose, which is sugar. Glucose is just another word for sugar, from your blood. And so that glucose goes to your liver and your muscles. And when it's in your liver and your muscles, it's called glycogen. And it's used as energy for your body. An immune response is when your body finds something that isn't you and it attacks it with white blood cells. When a person has diabetes, your body, when it's diabetes type 1, your body attacks those beta cells which produce insulin. Do you remember that? Mm-hmm. And there are two types of diabetes. I'm mainly going to be focusing on diabetes type 1, but some people also get diabetes type 2, and that usually results when a person is extremely obese and they don't eat very healthy, so their body produces, you have too high of a sugar intake, so your body doesn't produce enough insulin to balance out those glucose levels. What do beta cells do? Mary, yes.
They produce insulin?
Yes. Does that make sense? Beta cells produce insulin.
Okay.
Okay. And why is this important? What does insulin do in your body? Yes, Grace?
Keeps your blood sugar balanced?
Yes, it keeps your blood sugar balanced. What cell is missing in a diabetic's body?
I got a chocolate one.
So what is diabetes caused by? What cell is missing? What cell does the body attack?
Beta.
Yes. So I'm just gonna do an overview for you guys. So the pancreas produces beta cells, which produce the hormone insulin. And the body, the immune response is to attack the beta cells. So that cell, it's not the hormone that's missing, it's the cell. And that's key to what we're going to be discussing. Now we're going to move on to stem cells. But to understand stem cells, we're first going to go over developmental biology. During fertilization, two haploid cells fuse together. The haploid cells are just each of the parent cells. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So they each have unpaired or unmatched piece of chromosome. And a chromosome is just DNA and the protein that keeps it together. It's like the structure that keeps the DNA all wound up together because it's a lot of DNA. You all know what DNA is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, can anyone tell me just a basic definition? Lily?
Basically, like your genes and all, like, just kind of, it's hard to explain, I think.
Yeah, like the building blocks or the instructions for the organism. Okay. So, chromosomes are a thread-like structure that's found in the nucleus of the cell. So the chromosome is in the nucleus of the cell. Once those fuse together, that's called a diploid cell. Mm-hmm. So it's just the beginning of the creature. So after that, that diploid cell, that one diploid cell, with both of the chromosomes that are now paired up together, form a zygote. A zygote is just the beginning of an embryo. In order for that living organism to grow, the cells split and basically renew themselves. They self-renew. That's what cells do. Mm-hmm. To form eventually the embryo. Okay, so the first cells that result from the zygote, the dividing and self-renewing cells of the zygote, are called embryonic stem cells. So a stem cell, at its very basic definition, it is basically just a cell that hasn't decided what it wants to be yet. because there are hundreds of different types of cells in the body, each cell has a different function. There are three main parts of the embryo: the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. The endoderm is the innermost part of the embryo, so it's the very middle. The mesoderm is the middle layer, so not the very center, but kind of the one in between the endoderm and the ectoderm. And the ectoderm is the outermost part of the embryo. Does that make sense? So what is the mesoderm? Yes, Lily?
It's the middle part.
Yes! What is the ectoderm? Yes, Lily?
Is it the outer part?
Yes, it is the outer part. And what is the endoderm?
Like
The middle part? Yeah. The ectoderm differentiates, which means change into. The cell divides and forms cells that make up the nervous system. And the endoderm stem cells produce organs such as the liver and the pancreas. That's important. Do you remember what the white blood cells do?
Yes, they protect and defend your body.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Not all stem cells have the same differentiation ability. So, differentiation means that, let's say that a cell has already, it's already agreed to be a liver cell. Then it can't be a skin cell because it's already agreed to be a liver cell. So, there are 5 classifications of stem cells that are determined on what's called their pluripotency. Pluripotent, that's kind of a big word, refers to the ability to differentiate into almost any type of the cell in the body from the 3 layers of the embryo. So pluripotent cells are the ones that you want to keep in mind because those are the most important. Those are the ones that researchers are going after. These cells hold the greatest potential for curative therapies because of their ability to differentiate and their accessibility. So pluripotency is the ability to differentiate. HSC cells come from umbilical cord blood, and those cells still have the same pluripotency as embryonic stem cells. Stem cells are classified or organized in 2 different ways. First, by where they come from, and then also by how much they can change. You can think of stem cells as kind of like a baby cell. They still haven't decided what they want to be yet.
Action.
In order to understand stem cells, scientists have to be able to isolate stem cells and observe and control their 3 lineages. So their 3 lineages are basically the process that the cell goes through to determine what kind of cell it's going to turn out to be. Okay, so scientists are especially interested in this specification process, which is where the cells decide what they want to be or differentiate. Regulation in stem cells control the commitment, specification, and the differentiation in cells. Those 3 lineages is the process that the stem cells go through in order to determine what they're going to be. So the cells can be isolated from the embryonic blastocyst. And I put into a vitro tissue culture where they go through, that culture is where they go through the 3 stages. And specification is where the cell is designated to be a certain type of cell, similar to destiny. And then commitment is where the cell realizes its destiny, and differentiation is where the cell forms or is ready to form into a specific cell when it is needed. These 3 lineages are managed in a controlled environment. So if scientists could control the 3 lineages and understand exactly how they work, then they could use stem cells to genetically engineer them to make them turn into whatever cell they want to. If they could do that, then they could make some of these cells turn into beta cells, for example. Then they could put that into a diabetic person, and that would solve the beta cell problem, the lack of beta cells, and those beta cells would produce insulin. More questions remain about these cells, such as how will they become pluripotent, or will they behave and stay safe for the patient? Also, are they populous enough to be used widely?